Back home, and it feels so good. Wicked Radio live stream, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., your favorite channels, back here at Wicked Radio headquarters. Okay, not headquarters, the home office. Let's be real. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me while I had a business trip. And I know the audio and picture quality wasn't the best, but it's still amazing what you could do. I mean, good Lord, compared to the old radio days. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Or forget about the audio podcast, too. We post this right after we get off. A lot to talk about today. I, like you, are probably just gathering the details of this Savannah Guthrie story. You know, she's the NBC anchor, Today's Show, the Post Show, all that good stuff. Just an absolutely horrific story. We'll talk about that as well. But, and if you know me, and I know you do, I always try to find the light, right? Find the good stuff, even in the most horrific situations. And I've been talking about news stories and headlines for so long that I've kind of forced myself to train my brain to look for the light in this stuff. And I promise you, even in something horrific, there's always something positive. In this case, I think the positive is the amount of people that are putting aside the politics and all the other crap that we're all hit with every single day now. And almost everybody is just pulling for this lady. I don't care, put it aside. It doesn't matter. Who the hell cares? She's no friend of President Trump. Who the hell cares? Right? Put all that crap aside and just say this is a person whose mom is involved in some kind of horrific, what appears to be a kidnapping story or a ransom story. We'll get into the details, but it's been great to see so many people who otherwise normally wouldn't care anything about what an NBC anchor says pulling for her. It's been beautiful to see. Anyway, we'll give you the update on that as well. Speaking of that, is NBC giving Trump some credit? We'll talk about it. On the House floor yesterday, they had a financial hearing, excuse me, and Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, has become one of my favorites. He so calmly just absolutely hammered these overgrown theater kids in that room. I think we could all learn from it. I'm trying to write notes and learn how to handle that because that was just fantastic what he did. And we'll wrap it up today with a little bit of fun. President Trump has made his Super Bowl pick. Not really, but anyway, it was kind of fun. It's interesting that the White House media team, this administration media team, it's so different from before, right? They finally figured out how to do social media, try to make it a little bit more entertaining. It's just funny to see. We'll get to that too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to this horrific story. But again, you find the light and you realize how many people are pulling for Savannah Guthrie, her family, hoping her mom's okay. A little bit of background of the story. I was catching up on this too. I didn't quite get it. Like I was traveling on the road. I had a bunch of business meetings. And I kept on getting headlines and then I'm like, what? This sounds like unreal. Savannah Guthrie from NBC. She's a very famous anchor. Neither here nor there, but no friend of President Trump. She said so in the past. The great thing is we can put that aside. The horrific thing is her mom, who lived just outside of Tucson apparently, who lives there, sometime between Saturday night and this past Sunday, what appears to be, according to the local investigators in Arizona, was abducted from her home. There's blood stain on the floor. She was taken. She was last seen. And now you've got the family, Savannah and I think her siblings, just begging for help here. I don't know. I'm not too versed in this stuff. Maybe you are better than me. It kind of seems like, I think maybe the FBI helped them with the wording of this because it kind of seems like there's a ransom involved here. And, I've watched enough CSI shows like you probably have and movies where they try to send it direct, even though it's a video that's put out to the world, it's kind of like a direct message to whoever may be responsible for this. You know what I mean? Send those keywords. Regardless, here's what they released just last night. And again, you just pray for their situation. Doesn't matter who she is.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them. And we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She is funny, spunky, and clever.
You can imagine how it goes on. What I can't imagine is being in that situation. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you say. That's just horrific. Absolutely horrific. What's been great to see is how many people, a lot of it online obviously, are pulling for her and praying for her. A lot of people, including apparently the big guy. President Trump has spoken to her directly apparently, and it's, as luck would have it, NBC News did an interview with President Trump just about the same time that video was released on NBC. Here's what they said.
We also want to mention after our interview off camera, the president called Savannah Guthrie and spoke to her, offering words of support for her and her family as they search for their mother.
As he should. That's the right thing to do, obviously. And point in fact, he did. He sent this out on Truth Social, and then it was on X. I'm not going to do my horrific Trump impersonation here because it's too serious of a story. I spoke with Savannah Guthrie and let her know that I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately, deploying all resources to get her mother home safely. Prayers of our nation are with her and her family. And that seems to be true. I've seen an awful lot of that. God bless and protect Nancy, President Donald J. Trump. Good for Trump. That's fantastic that he did that. Fantastic. And let's just hope that that has some sort of a nice resolution, because we've all had a mom. I can't imagine going through that, any family. So let's continue to pray for her. And like I said, the good news is it's been amazing to see people put political or media differences aside and just pray for her, because she's a human being. I love that. Speaking of that interview, NBC did it right along the same time, and are things changing in the media? Is this a different world? Is NBC giving credit to President Trump for the border? Maybe, maybe not, but he sure appreciated it. This was that interview they spoke.
And you've had success on immigration. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said that.
But if you look at
Tom, what you just said.
It's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting.
No, of course, and it is, though. I mean, that's factual with the success at the border. I mean, that's like, you can't, that's just black and white. That's a fact. But Trump loves it because he's like, well, it's good news for me. That means you're a good journalist. And that's okay. Is it changing? Are they daring to actually report something factually if it makes President Trump look good in a certain light? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's the demand for it. Other side media note, did you see what else happened yesterday? I'd never choose for anybody that has been fired. I've gone through it. You probably have too. But the Washington Post, speaking of traditional mainstream journalism, or what used to be journalism, media anyway, they just fired 300 people. They say, of course, they always put out the spin that it's about because they're going to concentrate on national issues. We're getting rid of our independent podcasts and the sports department and entertainment. That's all gone. Really, they're cutting back because the demand has been so. Because like Elon said, we're the media now. People have so many sources of information to collect all the information to make their own decisions. They don't rely on outlets like the Washington Post anymore. I don't like to see anybody lose their jobs, but still, it's a result of where we are now. People have choices. Anyway, speaking of the border, this all tied into yesterday. This was amazing. Now, normally I would never, ever try to bore you with some sort of clip, audio, video, anything from a House hearing. But this was too good not to share. Scott Bessent, as you know, is the Treasury Secretary. He's becoming one of my favorites, not because of some of the policies here. That's obviously more important. He doesn't put up with anything. Have you noticed the difference now? Where the overgrown theater kids, this is what I call them, you know, the elected representatives that shout and scream in Congress and they yell and they talk over each other and the madness and all this other stuff. There's a lot more, and it happens on the Democrat side too now. There's a lot more people who know how to handle them. Well, Scott Bessent certainly knows how to handle them. And it was just brilliant yesterday. First and foremost, let's get to what he said about the border, because this all, whoa, the sign's falling down. First and foremost, what he said about the border was amazing to me, because it all impacts what he's talking about with the Treasury Department. And you're thinking, border security, what does that have to do with what Scott Bessent does? Everything, specifically housing. Somebody asked him about the connection between an open border and the rents that you or your kids can't afford. And it was a great answer. And then we'll get to, and this sent the overgrown theater kids yelling and screaming. We'll get to that after that and how he handled it. But first, here's the important part.
In particular, as we think about the impact of housing, was Biden's open border policies directly related to some of the inflation that we've seen in housing? That's where you're previously cut off.
Yes, to come back to that, I would point to a study from the Wharton School that said that supply and demand works, especially in low-end housing, that letting in 10, 20, we don't know how many illegal aliens that flooded into the housing market, they all need someplace to live. So
It's a great answer, and it just gave you ammunition and me ammunition for anybody that says to you, who's just not aware of the issues as you are, why do they have to take out the illegal? Why can't we just close the border and then have no deportations because it's mean? You know why? Because your kids can't afford rent. That's why. Because all of it, they have to go somewhere. You know, all the headlines said that they were starting to admit now that there's 10, 15, 20 million illegals came across the border in the previous 4 years. Where do you think they are? They're in subsidized housing that's taken up housing that you can't afford anymore. Supply and demand. A simple case study of this. Well, once he pointed that out, well, that sent the overgrown theater kids into a tizzy. That's just, because why? Ask yourself why they would get so upset at what Scott Bessent said just there. Because it threatens their game. You and I have talked about this for 4 straight days now. The whole country wants voter ID. The whole country, 83%. That's what I was talking about yesterday. CNN even admitted that. 83% want voter ID. The Democrats are fighting it because they can't win elections if we have fair elections. The only reason to be against voter ID is to cheat an election. So when he starts talking about the connection between illegal immigration, flooding across our borders, and a direct link to the housing market, well, that's hitting the nerve. Then they went, excuse the term, ape shit yesterday. Again, this is how you have to look at them. Overgrown theater kids. But the great thing is exactly how he handled it. Because in my opinion, this was like perfection. This is Scott Bessent just yesterday dealing with these people. And this is exactly how you have to do it.
The housing woman from California. 10 and 20 million immigrants. Can you look at the housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
Gentleman's time has expired.
No, my time has not expired.
Your time has expired. And the gentleman...
The gentleman took up my time. I think you should recognize that, Mr. Chair.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
I take that as a no. You do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For a $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your responsibility.
In the second clip there, whoever that idiot is shouting at Scott Bessent, he just kept on talking. First of all, I love that technique. When they just go all emotion and the overgrown theater kids start yelling at you, just keep talking. It drives them crazy. Just keep going. And Maxine Waters in the first clip there, well, you shut up. And he said, I don't know if you heard this or saw this. Scott Bessent goes, no. And then he goes on and he read his copy points. And then he, when she kept on babbling on and on and on, he goes, can you show an ounce of decency? This is new. We didn't used to push back like this. Sometimes they'd shout back and forth. Now we have people in this administration that know how to handle them. They've seen them for years. They know how to deal with it. Calmly, sharply, he pushed right back and he got his points across. And he comes out the winner. And they look like just babbling idiots. That's how you handle them. That's a great takeaway for all of us. God, that was great. He's become one of my favorites. And again, important part of that takeaway was most people aren't paying attention to the overgrown theater kids like Maxine Waters shouting, he took my time. No, they're paying attention to now more people than ever in the country because he handled it so well are going, wow, yeah, I never thought about that. That's another big reason. Yeah, that's why we need to crack down on illegal immigration. That's why deportations are so important because it affects the housing market. Supply and demand. All right, here's another big story here. Not the nicest thing to talk about in the world, but this was huge. Listen, everybody's got their own opinion about puberty blockers, gender-affirming care, we were told. It's happening for years. American Medical Association just made a huge announcement that's already having major impact. Scott Jennings, you know him as the guy on CNN that just, speaking of handling the overgrown theater kids, he's the one they put on the panel and he just schools these idiot Democrats trying to talk in his ear every single time. Well, he also has a podcast, as everybody does these days. He broke the news and explained it very, very well. This is a big story as far as how history will look upon this time. The days of taking minors and mutilating bodies, that's
Welcome back to the Scott Jennings Show. More breaking news for you today, and it is a political earthquake. Two of the most powerful medical institutions in the United States just blew up one of the left's most protected sacred cows. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons and the American Medical Association have now both gone on the record saying the same thing. There is insufficient evidence to justify gender transition surgeries for minors, and these surgeries should generally be deferred to adulthood.
That's massive. Yes, there's going to be court cases. Yes, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Of course it is. But already you've seen, and there's been a bunch of reports out this morning from hospitals who were doing this or medical clinics that were doing this in the name of gender-affirming care who have stopped and halted their practice of this because they're under orders to do so. This is massive. Absolutely huge. I don't tell you what to think. I just try to tell you what they're trying to make you think. We're going to look back at this time and say, what were we doing? What the hell did we do before kids can even get a driver's license? This was happening. That's my take on this. This was insane. And how we were told that this is care, I don't know. And how does this happen? And we all say it. It's like sometimes, you say, and I hear this a lot, and I've felt this a lot. I've said it out loud. We voted for a mandate. We wanted change on this. We wanted all this. What's happening? Where are the results? Sometimes you don't see the results. This was a result from direct pressure from Bobby Kennedy Jr. And believe it or not, Dr. Oz, too, was huge behind this, putting pressure on the Association of Plastic Surgeons, like Scott Jennings said, and also the American Medical Association, putting pressure on them. You didn't see it in the headlines. You didn't see it in front of your face every single day. But behind the scenes, it's working. So not always, but sometimes when you think that your elected politicians aren't doing anything, it's a lot more progress than we think sometimes. So let's hope common sense prevails in that one. Let's see. But there are going to be court cases. Just get ready for it. All right. Let's wrap this up with, of course, as we get closer and closer to Super Bowl 60, we got a Super Bowl angle to talk about. Is it from the practice fields of Santa Clara or Stanford where the teams are practicing? No. This one goes from the resolution desk. That's right. President Trump has made his Super Bowl pick. Kind of.
I have a feeling this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I've watched all season. I've seen these two teams just win. And I see two great quarterbacks, young, great quarterbacks. It's going to be a fantastic Super Bowl, and everybody wants to hear who I pick. And I'll tell you what.
Ha ha! Tricky. Of course, he's not going to make a pick. Isn't it funny, though, how we've got, an administration, and whoever's president next, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, will do the same thing. But I got to say, the Trump White House figured this out, how to do social media, how you can be the president and still do a goofy little gimmick like that where he didn't make his pick and they cut it off. And all. I don't know. It's just different this time. I think they figured out how to do it and reach people. Of course he's not going to make a pick. He can't. He's the president. Along those lines, did you happen to see this too? I'm close to this because obviously, being a fan, I have so much Patriots-related news and people I follow on my thing. So I was aware of this pretty soon, and I said, oh, that's going to make some headlines. So Tom Brady, the GOAT, they asked him, of course, in Super Bowl week who his pick is. And he said, I'm non-committal. I can't make a pick. And it is causing shock. This is not the most serious thing in the world, but it's just interesting to see. It is causing shockwaves through, I would say, the league and the sports media world. Because, look, he's Tom Brady, okay? He now does the Fox color analysis on Sundays. He's a partial minority owner for the Raiders. The guy can't make a pick, even though he spent 20 glorious years with the New England Patriots, winning 6 Super Bowls before he went on to Tampa and won another one, okay? The guy can't make it. Even I understood this. You know I'm a diehard Pats fan. Even I understood this. Well, apparently that's not going so well with his ex-teammates. You probably didn't see any of this, but again, I follow a lot of these people. They are hammering him. I mean, just relentless. Some of his ex-teammates said, no, we're not putting up with that. No, Teddy Bruschi was like livid about it. He goes, I'm making a pick. He goes, I am. He said, I work on ESPN. I'm making a pick. What's wrong with Tom? And Vince Wilfork, great defensive lineman for the Pats. He said, Tom, that's BS. This is a bunch of crap. You better make a pick. I think it was Asante Samuel, another former player. He threatened him. He said, Tom, I'm giving you 24 hours to pick the Pats or it's on. Great. I don't know. So silly. But again, goes to show you how big of a media event and cultural event that this game is. like it or not, and I get it. I always tell you this. I'm with you on some of the stupid things the NFL has done. And I was the one yesterday calling Roger Goodell a dumbass, because he is. But we love this sport. We do. So we'll see as we get closer and closer to it. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday? Holy cow. Getting closer and closer. Again, the big takeaway, as horrific as this Savannah Guthrie mom story is, and God, let's pray that they find her okay and that's all right. As bad as that is, the great news to see is how many people have come together. Put political differences aside, and she's no fan of Trump. She's no conservative. She's a media person. Most people, not everybody, most people have been able to put that aside and wish her the best, because that's a horrific story. Nobody, God, can't imagine going through that. And the Scott Bessent lesson there, whenever you're dealing with, prime example in Congress, these overgrown shouting theater kids like Maxine Waters. But you got them in your personal life too. You know you do. Handle them like he did. Calm, cool, collected, and just mock them. It's the best way, I promise you. Thanks for finding me on the live stream, Wicked Radio, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. These favorite channels, wherever you are. And thank you, more and more of you every single day. X, Facebook, YouTube, the replay lives on as those as well, which is where most people see it. Audio podcasts as well, wherever you like to get those. More importantly, have a great day, would you? Just make today awesome. Have a wicked awesome Thursday. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Friday.